So welcome everybody to this morning's live trading session. Hopefully we will not do what usually happens, or the markets will not do what they usually do when we get onto these live trading sessions, which is basically do absolutely nothing and go sideways. We've picked quite a volatile week, so hopefully that goes in our favor, but we'll just have to wait and see. So we'll start off by taking a look, as always, at our time-based charts, at the longer-term charts, because we want to see, where we're at in the grand scheme of things. So what are we expecting in terms of the next move? Now, as you can see here, from a weekly perspective, we've just broken through structure, and you can actually see that better on the daily chart over here. So we've broken through structure to the downside. This was a big level. And now officially from a technical perspective, we are in a downtrend, okay? Because a downtrend is a series of lower lows and lower highs, and that's exactly what you've got here. So you've got the market making a high there, a low, a high, and it's now just come through and broken beneath this low here. So we now have a lower low. So as far as the immediate momentum goes, we are in a downtrend, so we're expecting the moves to the downside to be more pronounced than those to the upside. That's not saying that there couldn't be a move to the upside, but all we're saying is that if it does move to the upside, we think that it may be limited by some of the previous levels of support, which could then become resistance. The main level is this one over here at 93.08, okay? But if it then gets above that, but before that, you can also see one on the weekly, which is at 88.73. All right, so we've got 93.08 and 88. What is the exact number there? 88.73 is another resistance area. So we can mark those on our charts as potential areas to keep an eye on. And then obviously to the downside, it's this, get rid of that there a minute. It's this big one here, as you can see. So the market breaks down and it uses this level at 83.74 to sort of like a catalyst to bounce from, and then rally from 83 all the way up to 12.544, so quite a big level there. And the next time we get back to that level, we're not exactly expecting it to smash through it without paying any attention to it, so we might get some short-term bounces to that level. If we zoom in on some of the short-term charts, so looking at, let's go into the 1 hour, for example, we can see everything there. We've got the same levels there as you can see on the daily. So we've got the 93.08, that's going to be in our sight. So then if we get up above that, there are a few other levels, but for the market to climb above that, it's got to go quite a distance today, so that's not something that we really need to note on our charts. From the data perspective, there's not a whole heap coming out of Europe this morning to worry about, which is a good thing. We do have some chunky numbers coming out later on this afternoon from the US, but that won't affect our trading because we're so close to the market. Once we see momentum, we'll look to get involved in it. One of the last things in terms of direction, as I said, we've got momentum to the downside. The immediate direction, if we look at the daily chart here, they are bearish candles, so I would be expecting some sort of a move down towards these lows. Okay, now that we're out below the structure level, we can see that the market would want to push it at least a little bit lower before it starts to pull back again. Having said that, because we are so close to the market, it doesn't mean that we won't get into a trade if we get given an opportunity to take a long. Okay, so that's our analysis for the morning. Now what we need to do is wait for the markets to open. What I will do today as well is I will talk you through some of the breakout trading that we do. I've mentioned it a couple of times in the past, and we've finally decided to add it as a module to the DAX Trading Academy. So I'll start talking about them in these live sessions as well. Okay, basically it just gives us a little bit more or a few more tools to our trading arsenal. So sometimes if the range chart isn't giving you something that's great, then potentially you might be able to find a breakout instead. So, and for those of you as well, let me just show you the chart here while we're waiting. So for the breakouts, I use a line chart like this one here. All right, it's a line chart of the range bars, but don't worry if you're sitting there thinking, well, how do I get that? I mean, you could do it with what we've already given you, the installers. You just create a new profile, new chart template. However, having said that, what we've gone and done is we've had our developer create another profile for you all. So if you were all to go across to the DAX Trading Academy portal, members portal, you will see that there's a new installer there. Okay, and you can basically use that new installer, and it will not only install the DAX range charts that you've got here, but it will also install another profile where it will give you the line charts like I have here. Okay, but I'm going to move that back for the moment so I can see everything. If I do take something on one of the range charts, I'll just drag it across so that you can see it. And the great thing with the installer that we've recently uploaded as well is the fact that we've eliminated the need for people to put in a username. We were getting so many issues with people putting in their usernames, either using the wrong case or I don't know what else. So we've eliminated that. So you just go across, download that installer, and you are good to go. Okay? So now it's our jobs to wait for the markets to open and then see what it will present us. Are there any questions whilst we're waiting for the market to open? Excellent, Chris. Well done. That's really, really good. My charts aren't moving at the moment because the market's not open, Monique. Yes, Monique. It's based on line charts as well, although I'm happy to trade breakouts on time-based charts as well. So the markets have opened up. Doesn't mean that we won't see downside. In fact, it almost makes me more confident that we will see a move to the downside. But what we need to do is we need to wait for the market to settle into a bit of a flow. I don't consider these initial moves after the open like this here. This for me isn't a pullback. Okay, because the market is still just opening up, so to speak, acclimatizing itself to the day. So that here, I wouldn't be taking this long, and I may regret that. You know, so the market may then roar off and pay us a profit. But for me, I want to see the market move with momentum. So obviously, first of all, pay attention to this opening range here, but then move with momentum. And when it does that, then I'll look to get involved in the trade. The type of trade that I'd like to see here, I'd almost, if I bring across the line chart, I'd much prefer to see the markets attempt to get out above this high here and give us a little bit of a consolidation at the top. a bit of a topping pattern, and then break down to the downside and close the gap towards there. That's what I would prefer to see in this instance, as opposed to getting involved in this long opportunity here. Now, as I said before, it doesn't mean that this opportunity won't make money. It probably will. But it's just, in my experience, what makes me feel more comfortable and what's been more profitable is not that type of a move. So how is everybody? How's all of your trading going? I can see there's a fair few of you in the forum that are doing quite well. Hey Ishmael. Thank you, Gareth. So this is a sort of price action that I quite like to see. Then the markets give us a bit of a momentum move to the downside. So from a breakout perspective, this is a sort of trade that usually yields a decent sort of profit. What we want to see is the market keep failing up above these levels here, and then finally give us an opportunity to go to the downside. Because you see, the markets, they have an energy about them. So for example, if the market breaks out above this and roars off with momentum, it's quite clear that there are more aggressive buyers than there are sellers. However, if it gets up to this level again and fails to go any higher, so i.e. it breaks back down below this level, then that's telling us that the buyers aren't all that keen. But we'll see. It's going to be key how the market reacts to this level here. So you see the fact that it's failed after that momentum, it's failed at that high. It's telling us something. So it needs to have another attempt to, and it needs to break out above that. Otherwise, we're more likely going to see a move to the downside for the first momentum move this morning. But we need to keep an eye on it. So now it has broken out above. And what we need to see here is now we need to see momentum. If this is a true break to the upside. You see it's struggling again. No, when you're trading breakouts, you don't need anything apart from you're literally just trading the price action. You're looking at the energy. As I said, that's kind of like the key. in any of your trading, if you want to be truly successful over the long term, you have to learn to start to see what the market's doing as a whole. Rather than just look for one individual setup, you need to be willing to look at what the energy of the market is telling you. And I know that sounds sort of very airy-fairy, but I promise you, it will help you. And people don't like to hear that because then suddenly it's not a black box. But the reality is that you will be more successful that way. And you can trade this over this type of breakout trading. You can trade this for any instrument. You can see the FTSE's up this morning a lot, which could be an indication. All of the markets are. The IBEX is up 1.25%. But you see this move here, it's laboured. So if the market starts to break down after a move like this, I'll be more than happy to take that short. Ishmael, the rules for entry are really quite simple. You're literally just looking for a break of a level. So you're looking for the market to give you a bit of an indication of which direction it's going in. And then you trade the break of the level. And one of the reasons that I haven't taught this to anybody before is the fact that it's a lot more, it's not as rigid, it's not as much of a black box as some of our other strategies are. So I don't think there will be a lot of people that will be able to trade this strategy because there aren't like hard and fast rules. It's very much about watching the market, the energy of the market, and then trading the breakouts based on the momentum. There isn't like you definitely have to get in here if this happens or that happens. It's just watching the market build up. So you don't take every breakout of every level, you know, like this here or here. You're waiting for the market to tell you something. And at the moment, the market's telling us that it's struggling, okay, to go higher. It doesn't mean that it won't go higher. It just says at the moment it's struggling. So if the market were to break to the downside and break beneath this level here, that could be a good indication that actually the first momentum move for the day is going to be short. So a breakout below this sort of low here would be something I'd be interested in taking. Okay, but you don't trade every breakout of the level because you need to wait for the market to tell you a clear story. Does that make sense? So here we could be on for a little bit of a short. I usually place my stops the other side of the range. You've got quite large stops with these here. Okay, I'm in. Now, of course, if once the market looks like it's going to break lower, it doesn't, and then it breaks higher, that's also telling you a story. Okay. That the sellers had their chance to take the market lower, but they couldn't manage it. And at that point in time, you then see that side of the market sometimes give up. Okay, so we can see that it's been quite toppy over here, over all of this price action. Okay, the market's been very, very toppy, and the sellers have been in control. Now, if they can't take control now, and the markets then start to break up, then that will be an indication that the sellers had their chance, they've given up, and they now won't stand in the way of the buyers when they try and take it through these levels here. Okay? The reason not to trade it to the upside, Monique, is that you didn't have... the story wasn't there behind it. The way that I like to... maybe the best way to try and describe this, I like to get into trades where I've seen one side fail first of all. So one side fail at what they're trying to do initially. Once I've seen that they've failed, then I'll be looking for a move in the opposite direction to that. I don't have a specific target, Kevin. Again, it's one of those things where I'll just be watching the market to see what it starts to do. So if it can give us another momentum move to the downside, I'll probably come out somewhere near the lows there. If it starts to pull back somewhat, then has an attempt at the lows and can't get through it, then I'll just exit the trade for that. For whatever I have on the table. Usually if I can pull about 20 points out of the trade, I'm pretty happy. No, Monique, you see, this is the thing with this sort of trading, is that ultimately sometimes it can be a bit counterintuitive, and it's more to do with the... hold on 1 minute, let me just... okay, let me close this up. So I got 30 points on that there. Now, for those of you that can stay with trades longer, you'll likely get more out of it than that. But I take my profits pretty quickly. So as I was saying, Monique, the thing with this is that you were saying that you were looking for a trade to the upside. The problem with that, because you were saying because you've seen all of this upwards momentum here, but if you look at this upwards move here, all right, if you look at all of this, look at all of that I've left on. So yeah, if you look at all of this upwards movement here, none of it was with any real momentum. Right, so when it was coming up to the highs, we're waiting for a pattern to create itself. All right, so we're looking for a pattern to tell us what direction to go in. Now, there wasn't any real pattern here to tell us to take a trade to the upside. Yes, momentum was to the upside. But as I said earlier, I like to see one side fail at something. All right. So I want to see the bulls, you know, in this case here, I wanted to see the bulls fail at these highs, which they did do. They had a few attempts to get through these highs here, and they couldn't make it. Every time they came up to the highs, sold back below. Then finally, you got the market break above the highs there, and then it sold back below it. Broke back above and sold back below. So then when the market then breaks a level to the downside, that's telling me that actually the market wants to go lower. And that's the way that you trade it. It is once you get the hang of it, Kevin. It's not difficult at all. It is relatively easy. Yes, Chris. Although the sniper charts don't look as pretty at the moment. But if we can get more momentum to the downside, definitely. Yes, Monique. So it has to break the moving average as well. It's the 100 moving average. Yes, it is, Kevin. The new installer is on the portal now. It's the exponential moving average. As far as the sniper trade goes now, we need it to pull back a little bit more than this here. I know that the William percentage R is in the right place, but I kind of would prefer to see it come back to around the 88.42 level. The William percentage R is only here right now because of this little blip here. If that had been one nice momentum move to the downside, it would need to come back towards these levels here before we got the opportunity to go short. This is looking a little better now. So now I'll take this. I've missed that. I would have taken it. Too quick. Too busy talking to you all. I blame all of you. You've cost me this. But that would have been one had I been paying attention to my brokerage platform at the same time as I was speaking to you. That would have been one there that I would have taken. Not from the first place, so from around here where we were talking, that wouldn't have been good enough. I wanted a bit more of a pullback, which we then got. Then the market gave us an opportunity to go short. And yeah, unfortunately, I missed the boat on that one. You took 6 out of that one and 45 out of the last one, Gareth. Nice. Oh, thanks, Kevin. Not too bad at all, Gareth. But you see, this is where a lot of new traders will go wrong. Okay, they'll miss that trade there, as we just did. And then they'll take the very next trade that resembles a setup, even though it isn't. Even though we're looking at the second pullback here, they'll look to get in the next trade, and then they'll wonder why they get stung. So from our perspective, what we need to see now is we need to see some consolidation. And once we get that consolidation, then we can look at taking another trade. But this whole momentum move here, there isn't a breakout that we can take. There isn't a sniper trade that we can take. So we just have to sit here and wait for another setup. Excellent, Chris. So Chris is just saying that he just took a sniper. What he does is basically he marks all of the levels of support and resistance to see the breakouts of those levels with momentum. So he then keeps those levels on his charts, and every time he sees a setup, it's uncanny how many times it bounces off a level of support that has then become resistance. And basically he just took both sniper setups on the 2 and the 3 range for 20 points. Very nice. Yeah, bouncing off support and resistance is definitely a good one. Chris done for the week, couple of losses, but again, overall profit for the week, 52 points. Well done, nice. You should be pleased, Chris. You should absolutely be pleased. You see, this shows you what, how your patience and discipline has paid off. Oops. Lovely. You see, you've been working up to this for a couple of months now. You didn't rush into it. You took your time. And, yeah. And it's all paying off. No, it's not, Chris. And it won't be for a couple of weeks yet. You're scared of having a losing week. You don't mind accepting losses, but it's unrealistic to always aim to end the week with a profit. Yeah, I mean, Chris, you will have losing weeks. You potentially will even have losing months. Hopefully not too many when you're day trading like this, but it can happen. And it is difficult to get over psychologically, but you've just got to remember that this is trading and you can't predict the outcome of every trade. The best we can do is just trade with our edge, and then you will come out ahead of the game. But that might not be on a week-to-week basis. So there might be a week that you end up down, and it's just something that you have to learn to accept. Hi, Alejandro. No, there isn't a video where I show how to trade from the chart because there are so many different platforms, different brokers and things like that. And inevitably what I will get if I do it for one, someone will then say, well, can you show me how to do it for the other? And I don't have that many brokerage accounts to be able to do that. So unfortunately not, sir. In terms of stop placement, Kevin, you should be putting it behind a logical area on the chart. So, for example, if you had taken the breakdown here of this level right here, which is actually valid, you can take that. If you took the breakdown there, you would place your stop above the highs up here at around the 88.45 level. Okay, you place it above the swing. So now we wait. To be fair, now this is setting up quite a nice breakout level to the downside. You can see the energy building. Now you'll probably be looking at this thinking, okay, well if it breaks to the upside, it's exactly what we had just there, so we'll get in and we'll buy that. That's not actually the case. It's not the same as this reversal over here. So if it breaks out above this level, I'm not going to be buying it. Okay? Because what we didn't have here, that we had here, is we had a build-up of the energy. Okay, so we could see that the market was ready to do something in one direction or the other. You can see this sort of like coiling price action. What you have here is just literally a 1, 2, 3 bang reversal, and then you move to the upside. But that doesn't constitute a decent opportunity for me. because I can't see who's struggling, who's in control, who's lost the battle, who's given up. I can't see that from that price action. All right, so for those of you that are wondering why I haven't taken this breakout to the upside here, that's exactly the reason. Yeah, Alejandro, so when I get into the market, I'm always using a market order. Always, always, always. I never have my target in place because I don't know where I want to get out. On my broker platform, you have the opportunity to say like X points away. And what I generally do is I start off by putting it sort of 10 points where it's just like a catastrophic stop loss, so to speak. So if everything else goes wrong. But then once I'm in a position, I'll then move it to where it should be. That may be a little bit further away. It may be a little bit closer to the market. It depends on what I'm trading. But I'll have an idea of where that is before I get into the trade, which will help me obviously decide on the best size. You know, because if you have a wider stop loss, you need to take a smaller size. Monique, yes, in the new installer, there's another profile that says like DAX or day trading line charts. And you can download it from there. It's either, well, it's on the DAX portal, Monique, and it's also on the Mentor portal. So either one you can take it from. I am indeed, Alejandro. I'm recording it. Bless me. Thank you. The recordings will all be on Facebook. Nice, Gareth. Thank you. My trade ideas, but you still have to do the analysis and see if it's right for you, right? There's not investment advice. Good. That's what I like to hear. But 500 net gain is great. Well done. 500 points. Pips. Very nice, Gareth. Okay, does anybody notice where we're at now? We're at the same highs that we were this morning. So the market's naturally going to play with this. If it gets out above it, we expect big momentum. But if the bigger participants want this market to go lower, this is where they will be selling. They will be protecting this area here. No setup for me yet. This isn't a sniper setup for me. It's just way too untidy. And look at the dynamic of the market here. So it's got up to these highs, and look at the way it's sold away from it. So someone out there's clearly not happy with this area being broken. Yes, Felix. There were two so far. We had one sniper trade, which I missed. And then we had, or before that, we had a breakout trade. So I've got about 30 points on the table this morning. I think others managed to take more, which is good. Chris, no, I personally don't trade much of the sniper on FX pairs, but I do trade the breakouts on other charts. But I mainly look at like the indices and some of the commodities. Not so much FX. I trade pound yen breakouts, but not much else. The scenario right now, Felix, is basically we are waiting and seeing. The market's trading at the highs here. We took an initial trade earlier on this morning. We took a breakdown of this area here. So the market had kind of been trying to push higher, was failing. It then broke down from that level there. And we took that all the way down. I got about 30 points. Someone here got 46 points, I think it was. And then we had the pullback here, which gave us a sniper trade. If you take a look at that there. So a nice pullback, followed by an entry in the direction of the trade. Trend, so we got involved in that right there. And then since then, the market hasn't done much. There was an opportunity for a breakdown here to get in short. We didn't take that. I was talking at the time. And then that's it. The market's then rolled on upwards. And we're waiting to get a clue as to which way it wants to go next. Although I would guess really that there's not going to be much. Well, there might be other opportunities on, but I'm going to be playing it a lot more cautiously now. You know, Friday, all of that kind of good stuff. I don't want to go into it with negativities. Had a good morning, had a great week. There's no need to ruin it for anything that's less than perfect. So I would imagine, to be brutally honest, between now and 10 o'clock, I will be surprised if I take a trade. But you never know. This isn't perfect here, but just talking about breakouts, since that's the topic of the day, this would be one that potentially is an okay setup. It's not the best one, but it would be valid. Because you can see, again, it's told you a story. The market's come up towards these highs there. It's failed at those highs. It's sold off quite aggressively. It's then pulled back. Okay, it's given another attempt at the highs, even more feeble than the previous one. And then it breaks down from this level here. And if you get a breakdown of that level there, you'd then be expecting some sort of momentum move down towards here. Now, it's not the perfect trade. It's not one that I'm taking myself. All right, but I'm just talking you through what they look like. All right? But that's the story behind it. If the market can tell you a story, then you can take the trade. Yes, Felix, this will be recorded. No problem. So see the way this market's broken down here? Is this making sense to everybody? Why you take trades? The story behind the trade. So you could see there that the market wanted to go lower. It attempted to go higher, it couldn't make it. So if it can't go up, it must go down, right? And that's exactly what happened there. Does everybody follow that? Kevin, if you were to play that, again, like I said, you'd place it above the highs. I personally wouldn't be tempted to play that. There's not enough of a story behind that price action. No, so in terms of the sniper, Diane, it's absolutely only the first pullback. Kevin, I can't I can't just say to you which high, because then that's trading advice. I can't do that. But you'll be looking for the most recent, most obvious high from where you get in. Okay, so for example, if you had have taken this trade back here, this would have been the high right there. Around 88.54. But I can't give you specific numbers when we're doing a live trading session because this is educational. I'm not authorized or regulated to give trading advice. So if I start throwing levels out to you, that would constitute as trading advice. I hope you understand that. I can't do that. Thanks for a good morning. No need to be greedy. Had a good week off to the physio now. Be looking forward to the Forex folks for a trade idea. Excellent, Gareth. No problem. I think in all reality, we'll probably wrap it up in a minute anyway. As I said, Friday morning. Good week in the markets. Good morning. There's no real need to chase any particular one trade just for the sake of doing it. So we'll give it another few minutes and then we'll wrap it up. You know, there's a fair few of you dropped off now anyway, so yeah. Is that okay for the rest of you that are remaining? Okay, everybody, well, let's wrap it up here. As I said, the markets are now not doing all that much, and they would need to do something pretty spectacular to encourage us to get into a trade after such a great week and such a great morning. So let's not be greedy. We made some nice profits this morning. Let's wrap it up here. Enjoy the rest of the sunshine. Go out shopping, fly planes, play golf. Do whatever it is that you want to do, because remember that you're trading, you know, not to be chained to a desk all day long. Every day you're trading, obviously, for a nice standard of living, nice quality of life, and that means having time to do other nice things. Okay? So have a lovely rest of your day, a lovely weekend. Okay, and I'll speak to you all soon. I'll speak to you all on the next live trading session. Okay? Take care, everybody, and have a lovely weekend.